Turn on the mic.
Can you make it look like all the seats are filled? Is there any way-
Is there an AI filter for that?
More people coming up.
That's a good solution.
You want me to start introducing it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you all for joining us today. I know we all have busy schedules and we're juggling stuff, so I really appreciate everyone here coming. So first things first, I'd like to thank our first round judges. I'd like to thank Victor Frody. I'd like to thank Ali Totielli. I'd like to thank Matthew Wolmer, and you. Their amazing effort and dedication brought us to today's presentation.
Also, Mark Powell.
Art
Oh,
Palm.
I heard
Sorry about that. I'd also like to thank the judges we have.
Palmer sound very similar.
I'd like to thank the judges we have today for taking the time to analyze our amazing students and their work. I'd like to thank Matthew Leo, the Director of MS Business Analytics for Saunders College of Business. I'd like to thank Eli Sapio, the Executive Director of Institutional Research for Data and Analytics at RIT. I'd like to thank Venu Gandhi, the Medical Director of Health Informatics at Rochester Health. Please give them a round of applause. They took it and it's really cool. So I'd like to introduce the team we have today. First, we have the data seekers, who is led by Xiang Sui. I'd like to also introduce RPRS, whose team leader is Rajat Gaj. I'd like to introduce Mindwave, whose team leader is Santosh Vajanathan. I'd like to introduce Smart Analytics, whose team leader is Ashut Shivaji. I'd like to introduce Team Unknown, who's led by Hunter Hodge. And I'd finally like to introduce Banner 255 Group 4, whose team leader is Tia Heiss. These students are coming in to present their amazing work, and I love to see their work. Yeah, I'd like to hand over the remarks to you.
Thank you, Ishan. You want to introduce yourself?
I probably should.
Introduce yourself. I am getting this.
I am Ishan Madden. I'm going to be the MC for tonight. I'll be doing the main commentary and bringing up any teams that you present. I guess if I want to introduce myself, I'm a first year finance accounting student, and this is an amazing competition. Hopefully it goes well.
So we've been waiting for a few teams to show up. Busy schedule for students this morning. First up, we have the data seekers. Just a quick note on the competitions. This year, we have about 31 submissions from students all across the campuses. Very high quality submission all abroad. And this year, we have a unique challenge because the challenge is based on the existing needs for IT. Currently, IT is investing different AI models to employ for the campus. So students in this particular time was asked to evaluate different AI models and to first come up with some criteria that they can use to evaluate the different models. Second, to then use those criteria to then perform the comparison and identify the top three models for IT to consider. And the last one would be to put together some recommendations for the IT teams that they can make sure that the implementation process is a successful process. So with that background, we're waiting for students to start. Let me check in here. Eddie, which one is your PowerPoint? Is that this one?
I have sent you the email and attached is
There's all of them in here. This one, right?
Can you wrote down?
Yeah, this is ours.
Yeah, this is ours,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure it's our final version.
He emailed you a new one today?
Yeah, no, yesterday.
New
I
one?
sent this morning, last night.
Yeah,
Okay,
so that'll be
that's
it.
fine. Yeah.
That should be it.
You think you're ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
we're running real for class.
Come on up. Let me also set up the clicker for you. Yeah, yeah. Why don't you tell them the
So you have 15 minutes, for example, around last 2 minutes, I'm gonna be able to hold up my hand and show you two. That means you have 2 minutes left. After that, questions.
Okay.
I have the timer on me, and once the cutoff reaches, I'll have to straight stop.
Alright.
You got it?
Yes.
If you're like near the end, I'll give you a little bit extra. Besides that, thank you.
So come on up. You can see your slide on that. Yeah. So that you don't have to, isn't it? That's really cool. I like that. Yeah. And here is the mic for each of you.
Won't be long.
There's a clicker that you want to use. Try to test it. Testing. On. It's on. Well, test. Testing. Yeah, closer. So 15 minutes, and then 5 minutes of question and answers, and he will let you know the time.
Okay.
What happened?
Minimize the.
Oh, yes. Let me see. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, you can.
All right. Good morning, judges. We are team data speakers. My name is James. And this is Shung En. And we'll start our presentation.
And you click on the PowerPoint, the mouse, so that is move. Okay. Just click one, and try then the clicker. Okay. There, go now, go now.
All right. Sorry. So to start off, this is our agenda for today. As you can see here, we have our 6 different categories. So to start off, we're going to start with our problem description. So the college, Saunders College, asked us to find an AI for RIT, for the students, faculty, and staff. So, we said, okay. So we decided to split this up into 4 different categories for what we need to find. So we decided to first interview students, or interview a couple of different people, then to organize the AI based on these descriptions that the people give for what they need from AI. Then we collected AI-related data from online to then evaluate the AI based on these set conditions. So here we are onto our requirements. So to start off with our interviews, we interviewed around the school. There's a couple of different colleges here, so we made sure to touch all different bases across the campus. So we talked to many different engineering fields, as well as people inside the business college, as well as the liberal arts college as well. As you can see here, there's plenty of different majors here, and as well as we talked to a technical services director. So what did we find for the requirements people want from their AI? So for students, we found that they want AI to be able to summarize the notes from any professor, specifically like using the record feature. If like they need to take notes or they're having a hard time understanding what the professor is talking about, they can save it for later so that then they can like ask their AI about it in a sort of chatbot function. They also want the AI to be able to recognize notes, as sometimes, students write really fast in class and it looks like trick and scratch afterwards. So they need to be able to analyze it afterwards so they can use AI if they don't know what they wrote. As well as the AI to be accurate and make sense, because a lot of times certain AI cannot do math or any important school functions and give you the proper correct answer. For professors, they more want the AI to be more like a secretary, if you will. They want it to be able to organize notes organize classes based on like their tests, like sections, since professors have many different classes, as well as to help with grading a little bit. As well as, again, to recognize if like their students wrote and it didn't make a lot of sense or they couldn't really read it, they can use AI to read it to get a better understanding so that they don't have to fail their students. And for technical director, he just wanted the AI to be able to code, since he already knows how to code, just like simple code, so that he doesn't have to spend the extra hour writing it instead. And he wanted it to be correct, obviously. So with that, we decided to split into two categories: our general usage and our professional usage. So professional goes more into research and programming, and general goes more into studying for students and teaching like certain topics for students. That moves us on to our data preparation. So we looked online and found 3 different data sources, as you can see here, that gave us a bunch of different values for what over like 200 AIs are capable of. And my friend here, Shang En, he used Playwright, a Python code to pretty much scrape all this data off from these different sites and to turn it into an Excel sheet. And he combined all of these into one Excel sheet by like pretty much like combining all the columns and rows and making sure that they don't double up any like of the same data. It's a pretty cool process. So that moves us on to our AI assessment. So there's so many AI. So the real question is, how can you figure out what AI was best for our IT? So we decided to do the corporate method of pretending to be HR. We wanted to imagine ourselves as AR and HR and these AI as people who are giving us their resumes for a job. So the way we thought about it, as you can see from our pictures here, is we together are pretty much looking through all of their resumes and finding which ones have the most fitted qualities to get this job position. So that came with 6 processes as well, from collecting the AI resumes to eliminating AIs without without performance record, which pretty much means if they like had empty spaces in certain categories. Because like a resume, if they have empty spaces in resumes in important places, then you most likely are going to defer them and not hire them. And then we assigned weights to all the categories, which I'll talk about later. And then we interviewed them in a screening process. And then we visualized all the data to find which one's the best. So this is more what it looks like. So there's pretty much 206 AI currently that we interviewed essentially, and we split them into the general and the professional usage groups. And at the end, only 5 of each group will remain. So it was a bit of an elimination, process of elimination, all of them based on their weight, which we have here. So the way we went through our screening method with weighting is with our entropy weight method, which you can see here with the math, and our Topsis screening method, which you can see here with the math. So pretty much both of these together allows us to get to analyze complex multi-dimensional data. By Topsis method, like takes the max and the min, which is pretty much how close it is to the correct answer and how far it is away from the most incorrect answer to find like on a graph pretty much like where like which one's the best in terms of like its stats. And the weighting system for the entropy method pretty much takes the different categories and weights them properly. So for example, to translate between English and Chinese, for example, most AI can do that pretty flawlessly, so we wouldn't weight that very high. But math, quite a few AI get very simple problems incorrect, so that's weighted a lot higher if they can consistently get that correct. So for our first round, we worked with the general uses first, and as you can see here, this was some of the categories for our weights that we have here. Pretty much all these categories go into different mathematical capabilities and any comprehensive like humanities, like understanding and logic and reasoning. And for the professional usage, this went more into the more Olympian sort of math and programming, as well as processing large amounts of data and comprehending it pretty much with good accuracy. The main 3 up here that's important is the halluc, which is hallucination, which is how far it is away from the incorrect answer, like how accurate is it essentially, as well as the aim, which is the math, and the reasoning and if, which is pretty much just its logic and understanding on like following directions if you give it a certain task. So with our first round, we had 10 AI that showed up, but we cut it off at 5. So our top 5 for both general and professional ended up being O3 Mini, Gemini, O1 Mini, and DeepSeek for professional. And for general, it's similar with Gemini and Claude, which is a new one, as well as O3, O1, and DeepSeek R1, which is different from the other DeepSeek. So looking at it on a certain graph, we can see that a lot of the AI have similar capabilities, but I want to point out that DeepSeek V3 on the professional side, although it's a little hard to see here, has the best Haluk, which is the furthest from one, so it's the most accurate here. So moving on to our second round, now we're interviewing them. Now, this may seem subjective, but this is objective because we're interviewing based on the requirement of our stakeholders or the people we interviewed, what guidelines they gave us. So we're interviewing them based off of that, which makes it objective rather than just our opinions. So this is one of our first interviews. We asked them the question to summarize a Zoom that we attended. And pretty much we just wanted to see what the AI would say about the Zoom since it was recorded and written. These three AI right here, they gave very questionable answers. Like they gave some of the correct answers, but they didn't like summarize everything properly. It was a little confusing to understand. For DeepSeek R1 and Claude though, they pretty much summed it up perfectly, almost exactly what we saw, or not almost, it was exactly what we saw. For two, we asked one of our dearest friends to write in the worst handwriting he possibly could to then see if, when we scan it, if the AI can comprehend what it says. And actually, almost every AI did pretty well. The thing is with some of these other AI, like the ones here with Gemini and O1, they gave like mostly correct answers, but there are a couple of words that they kind of changed to like fit better with the sentence, but that's not what we wanted. We wanted to tell us what it said. Sorry, DeepSeek was the best one here as it gave it like 1-to-1 exactly what it said. So then we moved on to the third interview, which was just for research. We gave them a large amount of data and simply asked them to like pretty much summarize like what does this data mean? So these three again didn't give us very comprehensive answers. It was very general, but it didn't get to the meat and potatoes of what the actual data was asking for. But DeepSeek V3 and O1 Mini actually came out on top with very good data and comprehensive understanding. So then we moved on to 4, programming. Most of you know the Snake game. It's a very simple Python game. We asked all the AI to give us just the code for Python game, and then we're going to run it in Python and see how well it actually worked. So here it is right here. You can actually see them moving around. I think, and we all thought together, that DeepSeek V3 and Gemini were by far the best ones here, as you can see from the UI. Very beautiful. The other three are pretty good, but these two are by far the best. So that led us to overall analyze all of the weights together to find which one is the best. And for different categories, we actually found different AI are better at certain things. For researching, we found that DeepSeek V3 was by far the best. And it actually has a pretty low cost in terms of the million tokens. It goes by every 1 million tokens, it pays a certain amount of money. So it has a pretty low cost of basically like 0.5 cents, which is pretty nice. And then for programming, we found that Gemini was actually the best with all its weights combined. For studying, we found that DeepSeek R1 instead of V3 was actually overall better. And the price is actually a little bit lower, which is pretty nice. For teaching, we found that Claude actually turned out to be on top in terms of like teaching and helping study. And it has quite a steep cost in comparison, but it still is very interesting that that one came out on top. So that moves us on to our cost assessment. So there are about 17,000 students currently enrolled here, whether undergraduate or graduate, and there's about 1,300 faculty here. So that's about a 15-to-1 ratio, as you can see on the pie chart here, for people currently here in the 2024 interview online. So with our cost estimation, doing the math and like finding it based on the current numbers, we find that if we summarize and say that students use about 100, use AI about 100 times per month, and faculty use it about 300 times per month, we find that the overall tokens that would be used is about 2 billion tokens for the students and 500 million for the faculty. So what does that mean? That means that in terms of our best ones here, our best 4, it comes out to around, when you do the math, about $3,400 per month for the school. Now, that doesn't sound too bad at all. So here's our recommendation. For starters, we believe the best way to promote this AI is to essentially have either lectures or have these sort of events that RIT could run to get people excited about the new AI chatbot and to tell them all about the new features that RIT has currently. And show all of its deep understanding and reasoning. For the faculty, we're saying maybe the best thing to do is to create a forum for them or have some sort of talk to help the faculty create better prompts, because a lot of times it's not about what it's not always the AI's fault. It's more about how the human is able to give directions for the AI to follow. So pretty much this would just be a forum to help them create better prompts to get what they want out of AI. So our suggestion cost is pretty much AI is going to cost around $4,000 overall around the year. And that's pretty much around 0.22 cents per every student if there was to be added into the tuition. So here's a little method that we're thinking. We simply raise that price a little bit and maybe to $5 or $10. And it still won't be noticeable in their tuition, but hey, now RIT can make some money as well, you know? Yeah, I know you like the sound of that. So we thank you for your time. Any questions?
Give the time to the judge to ask questions. Can you pass the mic?
Yes.
Thank you guys. I don't know if this is working or not, but
Yeah, turn
yeah,
on
it
and off.
goes
during
on
the
and
meeting.
off. I heard you.
Is this there's a
It's on.
switch? Okay.
Yeah, it's on. It's just the, oh, there you go.
Close to your mouth.
Great presentation. So thank you.
Thank you.
I like that you guys separated the different uses like research and programming and general use and for faculty and students. I was curious about how you came about that number around faculty uses 300 times a month, students use it 100 times a month. That I think needs some clarity, in my opinion, in terms of, you're talking about 16,000 students. If they're all using it, 100 times a month, and that's your estimation, or, what was the rationale behind it? That would be, I think, give us a better sense in terms of the numbers, because the $3,000 a month or $4,000 a month seems pretty cheap, but in reality, AI costs a lot more than that.
You want to respond or?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why do you see the mix?
So that's actually a good point, and I agree. The way we thought about it was to think about a student's schedule, essentially. So they have about 6 classes, or 5 to 6, depending on which college they're in. And most of the time for those classes, they might have 1 math, or maybe 2 if they're in engineering field, and maybe 1 in physics or chemistry or anything like that. So those classes per month meet maybe once per week, or once or twice, maybe even 3 times per week. So if you think about that in terms of 1 month, that's about 4 weeks per month, which 4 times 3 is 12. And then pretty much our thought process was if that's 12 for pretty much, if they're meeting up 12 times, then let's just assume that they need help for every class, which it might be under this. For all the questions that might be on there, they may ask the AI for maybe 5 to 7 different times for help. And especially if they're using it for study or then that would be an extra 12 if they're recording the lecture or something like that. So we said 100 is a pretty reasonable, or I mean, what was it? Did you say 300 or 100? 300?
Actually, it's 300.
Faculty 300. We said 100 was a pretty reasonable overall thought. We wanted to keep the numbers nice for you guys, but 100 seemed like the most reasonable outcome for per month. And then for faculty, it'd be a bit more because they have a lot more classes. What I mean is sections. So as a result, if they have to read a lot of things for an exam or something like that, especially in liberal arts or anything that has to do with long short form answers in questions, that's a lot of students. So 300 seems like a reasonable amount in comparison to 100.
And were you guys recommending one AI model that does all the researching or different ones for each purpose?
We were leaving it up to RIT to decide which one. We just wanted to give them the information on which one, like we gave them which ones are the best in which category, and we wanted to leave it up to RIT as to which one they found to be the most suitable for their entire campus. We just wanted to give our recommendation on which of the four are like the most like reasonable to pick. But all of them, depending on which one they find the most important, are usable.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. It's okay. It doesn't. So I love the analogy of you guys being the HR and creating an evaluation process and having AI be the potential candidates. I think you included a lot of good material in the evaluation, but I was just thinking, especially from the background that I come from, and I'm sure this applies to RIT as well, like I I did not specifically see anything about data security and privacy. Did you consider those in terms of evaluation of your models?
That's a great question. And honestly, I do believe that maybe we should have had a slide or two up here on that, but for the sake of time, we had to like cut some of the stuff. But we did talk to the technical, the director I was talking about earlier, way earlier, pretty much almost at the start. Essentially, we like brushed past it, but pretty much we talked to, the technical services director who talked us all about privacy and how if they were to add an AI model, how would that affect the security of RIT. So we did have a discussion on that. And we found that the only one that's currently verified by RIT is Copilot. So technically by privacy standards, that's literally the only one that could be used. But we wanted to go more out because that's based on if RIT already currently verified it yet, and they haven't gone through and verified all these different AI yet. So as time goes on, more of these AI can be verified. So we just wanted to give them a sort of guideline on which AI they can look at, and then they can check the sort of privacy afterwards because like that's like its own like thing, like where they have like all these steps. So although we could like find out about that, that's really up to RIT whether or not they find it secure enough, because they can still deny AI based on whether or not it's like you know, safe enough for their system.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and I think that jumps on to the cost question as well, because when you implement these models, there is a lot of foundational structure that you need to build before you use AI as a service. And so that cost structure probably is not included in your cost structure. So that's something that needs to be cleared out or explained.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Melu,
Very interesting presentation.
Thank you.
So I have a question about the interview process, because the interview process basically set the foundation for the requirement, right? So would you be able to explain more about the process instead of like what is the selection process like when you reach to the peoples? And what kind of questions that you ask them so that you gather this kind of requirements?
Okay. In terms of questions we asked, we generally went down. So we asked about 4 questions. It wasn't a super long interview, but it got the general point across. Like it was more of an open answer. We had it recorded, so essentially we got quite a few students pretty much to come in, and then we had an interview with them on a recording. Then we actually listened to that and then wrote down all the data based on like what they were saying. We allowed them to go into like their opinions and have multiple different like answers, but pretty much the general thing we asked about them was like, what would you use an AI for if you had it, and would you like pay for it, or like how much would you be willing to pay for an AI, as well as sorry, I'm just trying to think. We asked them generally about like what they need out of an AI, as I was saying with the interviewing process here. We generally asked them like what do you need out of an AI, and like what are like the 3 most important qualities that an AI needs to have, and you know, most of them said like they need it to be accurate, right? So that one's like a no-brainer. But like we wanted to like delve a little bit deeper, so we asked more questions on other than like accuracy, like like, what would you use an AI for? If RIT were to give you an AI that was like paid for in like a subscription sort of service, what would you like use it for? And like, as you can see, we got like various different answers, which were all very interesting. And you did ask as well, like, how did we like figure out who to interview? Was that a
No,
part of your
I think you answered my question, just want to understand more about the interview process. Yes.
Okay,
good.
yes.
So for the interest of times, let's give them a hands for their excellence. Presentation.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
This goes here.
Next team, I have RPRS. Which one is your? Yeah, so coming up.
So round the two mark, hold up my hand.
Okay.
I'll be looking.
Go.
Yeah.
Did you send it to me?
I sent it to you in Gmail.
It
was a Google scan.
You recognize the name?
See, that's what you're doing right now.
No, it's not any of it.
Use this because it's hooked up to the
2 minute mark.
Okay, no worries. Go to the Gmail.
It just means so.
Rezone for RR. Easy, that's for.
Do it right now. I'm setting the timer and I start the timer when you introduce yourself. Okay. So before then,
Should it be this one?
no.
Yeah, it should be there. Yep. So we don't need mine.
This room.
Gotcha. Yeah, no worries.
The presentation on the top right.
Yeah, right there. Yep.
Yeah, switch to. See you guys.
By the way, one of my group members is kind of late, so he might show up in a bit. That's okay.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. Also. All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for coming. My name is Razone.
Riley?
Oh, microphone, right, sorry. Just anyone would work.
One of them works better than the other, probably.
Oh,
So, yeah, sounds like it works.
yes, okay.
First one is the one.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Razone. Oh, sorry.
I'm Riley. And I'm Peter.
All right, and we are RPRS. Thanks so much for coming. So our project is called New AI for All at RIT. And we set out to answer one key question: what's the smartest and most practical way for RIT to implement AI across campus? So our belief is pretty simple. AI should be a tool that students, faculty, and staff can actually use in ways that are affordable, helpful, and scalable. All right, so here's how we broke everything down. As you can see, we structured our presentation into 3 main sections. So each focused on a key business area. First, we got the accounting and financials. So we ran a full cost-benefit analysis of several leading AI models. We used a mix of licensing costs, estimated productivity gains, and automation potential to calculate actual ROI. We'll walk you through our financial recommendation based on that data. Then we got the marketing. So in this section, we break down how these AI companies market themselves using the classic 4 Ps. Then we look at how RIT can create its own marketing strategy to help students and faculty actually understand and adopt AI on campus. We also did some forecasting and trend analysis to show where all this is headed. Then we got the operations. This is where we get into how the AI models actually work, right? So we compared them based on performance, speed, input capacity, and more. Everything we evaluated was tied back to RIT, what RIT actually needs, whether it's academic support, coding help, or just day-to-day efficiency overall. All right, and then finally, we'll just close some things off and leave time for questions. All right, so starting with the accounting and financial analysis. All right, so how did we approach that? We asked a simple but important question: which AI models provide the best ROI for RIT when balancing cost and value delivered? So to answer that, we use a cost-benefit analysis and focus on three key areas. First, we got licensing or operational costs, so how much each model would cost RIT to license and scale across users. Then the second one is productivity improvement, so how much time and value can be gained for students, faculty, and staff by using AI for things like writing support, tutoring, grading, and research assistance. Then we got third one, automation and academic tools. So how much support AI could offer through automated systems like email replies, form handling, scheduling, and even generating syllabi or lecture materials. So to keep things consistent, we use a standard ROI approach, comparing the estimated value each model could deliver over 3 years against the total cost to implement it. So we also broke the evaluation down into 3 equal parts. Again, the cost, productivity, and automation savings. Each one made up about a third of the score, so no one area weighed too heavily. And we did that on purpose because departments at RIT all have different needs, and we wanted our recommendation to reflect that balance. So here's what we found. As you can see, GPT-4 and Claude 3, they come out on top, both with an estimated ROI of 200% over 3 years. So that means for every dollar RIT would spend on them, they'd get $2 of value back. Now, GPT-4 is especially strong in areas like writing, admin support, and research, perfect for students and staff in the humanities, social sciences, and administration. Claude 3 performs nearly the same, but with a strong focus on ethical reasoning and transparency, which could be very valuable for an institution like RIT that values those things. Gemini 1.5 and Mistral 7B had lower ROI, so as you can see, around 125 to 160%. Still pretty solid, but they're more niche. Gemini is great for STEM-specific tools like math and data analysis, right? While Mistral shines for developers and coders, but doesn't have as much versatility in broader academic tasks. Llama 2 was by far the cheapest option, but also had the lowest performance and ROI, so around 100%. Basically, it returns exactly what it costs, so there's really no gain. So our financial recommendation is pretty clear. RIT should consider investing in GPT-4 Turbo or Claude 3 because they offer the strongest return, the widest use cases, and the best balance of academic value and cost efficiency, all backed by real data and how these models are already being used in education and business settings. Now, we chose these 5 models because they offer a strong mix of open source and closed tools. They cover a range of price points and reflect the platforms most relevant to higher education right now, whether for general academic use, research, or technical instruction. To keep the assessment fair, we use a combination of objective metrics like benchmark scores, cost, and throughput, and qualitative factors like ethical alignment and ease of use. This helped ensure our recommendations reflected both the numbers and the real-world experience of using these tools at RIT. All right, next up, we got the marketing analysis. All right, so we use, as I said in the beginning, the classic marketing framework here, the 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. So starting off with product, GPT-4 is known for its creativity, advanced language skills, and broad academic utility. Claude 3, the one in the middle, is built for ethical reasoning and complex logic, especially good for coding and thoughtful problem solving. Then DeepSeek on the very right, which is open source, focuses more on accessibility. It's solid for technical tasks and offers transparency because the code is public. Then we looked at the price. GPT-4 is clearly in the premium range, so it's powerful, but it's a little expensive. Claude is a bit more developer-friendly and competitively priced. DeepSeek is totally open source and free, which could be appealing for computer science departments, but it comes with some trade-offs in performance and support. For place, we looked at where these tools are hosted and accessed. So GPT-4 and Claude can be accessed through big cloud platforms like Azure, Amazon Bedrock, and Google Cloud. DeepSeek is distributed on open repositories like Hugging Face and GitHub, which means it's more flexible, but also a bit more technical to implement. And finally, we got promotion. GPT-4 leans heavily on brand recognition, partnerships, and enterprise-level marketing. Claude connects through developer communities and ethical tech advocates. DeepSeek promotes through the open source community, mostly through GitHub activity, forums, and technical conferences. So what does this all mean for RIT? So if RIT wants to roll out AI successfully on campus, it can't just rely on internal emails or a launch page buried in my courses. There needs to be a real marketing strategy behind it. So we put together a few key ideas that could help drive the adoption. So as you can see, first we keep the messaging simple and clear. No jargon, no overly technical language, right? Use visuals and demos, things like walkthroughs, short videos, or real examples from students and faculty. Focus the message on real use cases, so how it helps students with essays, helps faculty with grading, or helps staff with emails. And most importantly, just listen to feedback. The more open RIT is to hearing what works and what doesn't, the more people will actually want to use it. So now let's take a look at what's ahead, because even though these models are pretty powerful right now, we wanted to see if they're built to last. So we focused as part on OpenAI 01, which is part of the GPT-4 family, and looked at both growth projections and engagement trends. First, let's talk about user growth. OpenAI 01 is projected to reach over 8.5 billion monthly visits by the end of 2025, which is a massive increase. And it's not just because the technology is getting better. A big part of this growth is coming from adoption in schools and research institutions, which is exactly the kind of setting RIT falls into. The more people rely on AI for studying, teaching, or administrative work, the more these platforms will continue to grow. Then on the right side of the slide, we looked at engagement, which is just as important as the raw numbers. It's one thing to have millions of users, but the real question is, are people actually using it for something meaningful? And the answer is yes, and it's trending upward. So average session time is expected to hit 46 minutes per session by the end of this year. Now, this tells us that people are actually spending serious time using them, which points to better user experience and more relevant applications. So from a marketing and operational perspective, this model isn't just popular right now. It's built to keep scaling, and which makes it a smarter long-term investment for RIT. Now, we also wanted to look to step back and look at where things are headed in terms of capabilities and use cases, not only for OpenAI 01, but for AI in general. First, we're expecting continued improvement in reasoning and problem solving. So if you look at the chart here on the very left, you can see that each new version of OpenAI's models has gotten significantly better at handling complex logic, scientific thinking, and decision making. That matters for RIT because it directly supports high learning in subjects like engineering, physics, and computer science. So second, one in the middle, there's a trend of growing adoption in STEM fields. And that's where we're seeing AI really take off, helping with everything from debugging code to generating lab reports. And it's not limited to just technology majors anymore. Even biology, chemistry, and math departments are starting to incorporate these tools into coursework and research. And third, the business world is catching on pretty fast as well. We're seeing OpenAI models being used for strategic analysis, data analysis, and customer service. That's important for IT because it shows the real world relevance of these tools. If students are already learning how to use AI here, they're prepared to step into these environments right after graduation. So the takeaway is these models are becoming more relevant, more valuable, and more integrated into both education and the workforce. And that makes the case even stronger for bringing them into RIT right now, not later. All right, next we got the operations analysis. So to make this comparison useful, we focus on 3 specific AI models that we thought had the most potential for use at RIT. First one, Claude version 3.5, DeepSeek R1, and then we got OpenAI 01, which again is part of the GPT-4 family. Then we evaluated them using 5 benchmark tests, which is pretty standard in AI research. But here's what they actually mean in real terms. So we got GPQA. This measures general problem-solving skills. It's a good indicator of how well the model can think logically. MMLU and MMLU Pro, these test broad academic knowledge across a bunch of subjects. Drop, this one looks at reading comprehension. So basically, how well can the AI understand and reason through dense or tricky text? Human eval, this one focuses on code, so how accurate and helpful the model is in writing or fixing software. Here's what we found. So Claude had the best overall performance, scoring high across almost every benchmark, especially reasoning and coding, which makes it a great fit for academic settings where those skills matter a lot. DeepSeek R1 also performed pretty well, especially in knowledge and comprehension. It's open source, which gives it some flexibility, but still developing compared to OpenAI or Claude. Now, OpenAI O1 wasn't always the top score, but it had a strong performance overall, especially in coding and broad academic tasks. And what it lacked in a few benchmark points, it made up for in scalability and overall versatility. So if RIT wants to implement a single model that covers the most ground, Claude is probably the best match based on pure academic performance. But OpenAI O1 is also very strong, very balanced option, especially if the goal is to scale AI access to a wide range of users across campus and not just technology-focused majors. And DeepSeek could work in smaller, more specialized contexts, like for open source research labs or technical faculty who wants customization. Now, another factor we looked at in operations was the efficiency. So how much the data models can handle, right? And how quickly they can process it. Because it's not just about how smart the AI is. At a school like RIT, where tons of people could be using it all at once in different departments at different levels, it also needs to be fast, scalable, and reliable. So we looked at two key factors. Max input capacity, basically how much information the AI can handle at once. And then we got the max throughput, so how fast it can process that information. All right, so all large language models process data in tokens, which are like small chunks of text. So on average, one token equals about 3.5 characters in English. So the more tokens the model can take in and the faster it can process them, the better it performs. So here is how the models stack up. OpenAI O1 and Claude Sonnet can both handle up to 200,000 tokens, which is roughly about 700,000 characters of text. That could be a full textbook chapter, an entire research paper, or an entire block of code. No problem whatsoever. DeepSeek R1 is a bit more limited, around 131,000 tokens, which still works for most tasks, but it's not as scalable. But in terms of speed, OpenAI O1 leads with a throughput of 66 tokens per second. Claude comes next at 42 tokens per second. DeepSeek is just 9 tokens per second. What this tells us is that OpenAI O1 is the most efficient overall. It can process large workloads quickly and scale better under pressure. Claude is still a strong performer. DeepSeek, while solid in accuracy, may struggle when it comes to heavier workloads, which matters for RIT, especially if AI is going to be rolled out, again, campus-wide and used by hundreds or even thousands of people at the same time. Now, let's talk about who's actually delivering the AI. So because performance also depends a lot on the API provider you choose. So for OpenAI O1, there are two major options. OpenAI's own platform and Microsoft Azure. So we compared them in two areas. We got latency, which is how fast the AI responds, and we got the throughput, how much it can process per second. So here's what we found. Azure has super low latency, just 0.54 milliseconds, meaning it responds almost instantly, right? OpenAI's platform has higher latency, around 16.2 milliseconds, which is still fast, but just not as instant. But here's the important part. OpenAI, as you can see, it handles 66 tokens per second, while Azure only does 16 tokens per second. So even though Azure responds faster, OpenAI can handle way more content at once, which makes a bigger difference when students or faculty are doing serious work, like analyzing large documents or generating multiple responses. So for RIT, the trade-off is pretty clear. A tiny speed boost from Azure versus 4 times better performance from OpenAI. That's why our recommendation is to go with OpenAI directly. It offers higher throughput, more scalability, and overall better use for heavy academic, overall better support for heavy academic use. All right, so to wrap it all up, after looking at everything from cost and ROI to marketing, operations, long-term scalability, here's what we came away with. RIT has a real opportunity to lead in AI adoption. That is by implementing models that actually make sense across departments, support students and faculty, and deliver strong returns over time. So our top recommendations are GPT-4 Turbo and Claude 3. These two models provide strong academic value, wide usability across different majors and roles, high ROI, financially and functionally, scalability to grow with the university's needs, and an ethical, responsible approach to AI, something that matters at a campus like RIT. But we also recognize there's no one-size-fits-all solution. That's why we emphasize transparency in our evaluation. We clearly laid out how we chose these models, what we measured, and why we made the recommendations we did. So future decision makers at RIT can adapt the strategies as AI continues to evolve. With the right plan, communication strategy, and ongoing feedback, RIT can turn these models from a tool into an everyday part of campus life, helping students learn faster, helping professors teach more effectively, and helping the entire university operate more efficiently. All right, so that wraps up the presentation. Thanks for listening. Questions? Thank you.
I can start. Very powerful presentation. Thank you. I learned new things from your presentation. So I have some specific questions. So you talk about why. So you talk about you look at the 3 years, right? So would you provide the rationale that why you look at the 3 years, not 5 years? Okay. So my second question is you talk about OpenAI, which is adopted by the educational and the research institution, right? Do you have any data, like example right now that the other institution or university right now are doing this?
Any examples? Now, the first question, oh, sorry. So your first question was to clarify, why did we choose the 3 years over 5 years? Right.
You know, the rationale that you look at the 3 years, what is your rationale?
Oh, okay. All right, so we chose the 3 years simply because instead of the 5 years or any longer, because we wanted to see a quicker timeline, to put it shortly. So instead of looking way far ahead, we wanted to see what's going on right now because we think it's more important to see for now, since we did the future evaluation later on, we wanted to see what's happening more closer to the time than more later, even though it's not a huge difference. But what we also found out is that even though it's 3 years, that accounts for also later years in AI as well. So like, even though it's 3 years, it could also be the same for, let's say 6 or 9, so like double or triple those amount of years. So regarding the second question, you got this one.
So a local college actually in Buffalo, University of Buffalo, is implementing AI into their business department and their computer science areas. They're just rolling that out now, so there's not much information on that, but I know that they're implementing, I believe, the cloud AI that we had actually suggested into those 2 departments at the University of Buffalo. So I do know that.
Hopefully those answer your questions. Thank you.
I can jump in too. Thanks again. Great presentation. I like how you guys laid it out and you made a final recommendation of, I think OpenAI was the tool that you suggested for IT. So if I was the person who's gonna push a button to say, okay, let's purchase it, I wanted to know probably more about the ROI a little bit more. The amount of money that will be spent on this is quite high. How did you calculate the return? When you calculate the return, what did you consider if faculty is using these, students are using, like, what is the element that would make me spend all that money? Is it productivity gains? How did you calculate? Is it the time saved and based on the faculty's salary? Like, how did you estimate that 200% for ChatGPT as a return on investment that has a higher return on investment than the other ones?
Right. So we used a formula. Going back to the slide. Now, I don't have it off the top of my head, but we use a simple ROI formula. Just anyone want to chime in? Okay, so we looked at what would be the cost over 3 years. I can't remember the actual, but we use a simple formula. Probably should have written down, but use a simple formula to calculate what the best return on investment is. So as you can see, as I said, GPT-4 and Claude 3, they would provide double the value of what you actually would spend. So like, every dollar you get $2 of value back, right? So that thing, like we would recommend that because, as I said, GPT-4 and Claude 3, they offer higher input, higher speed, and just more advanced, more advanced than the Gemini 1.5, Mistral, and Llama 2. So if you're looking for the specific formula, I don't have it. I'm sorry, but
the formula. But so tell me a little bit about like the GPT-4. You have almost like $500,000 value generated, right? Like what goes into, how do you calculate that's the value that's generated? Or are these numbers that it's announced by the companies, I guess? Like, did you calculate those figures or you just grabbed it from the
those are
company announced figures?
yeah, the company yearly report. Yearly reports, yeah.
they're assuming, you know, that much money is gained by destruction. The value, like institution like us, if we implemented, that's the amount of valuable gain, like that part is not clear to me.
Okay.
So it's based on the valuation from 2021 to 2022 and calculating it just going into the future pretty much.
Yeah, any other questions?
For the interest of time, let's give them a hand. Thank you. Next up, we have the Minecraft. You want to test the link? For students coming in, I ask you guys to move into the middle a little bit so that we have a better view of the audience. You can test that.
Well, we have 2 minutes left. Are we? Let me do 2 minutes left.
Is this yours? Present from there. So what you do is you're gonna share the screen in here. Go ahead and see if you can share the screen. There you go. Use the link. This one work well.
They choose to impact.
Okay with this? Oh, this one working, yeah, this one is.
That was
Hello.
just put it to the side then.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you very much. I'll let it.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Team I'd like to extend my warm welcome to our distinguished judges and my fellow students. And we are honored to present our analysis on in RIT Business Analytics Competition 2025. So our product, RIT AI Odysseys, focus on empowering RIT with cost-effective, secure, and efficient AI. And this is our team. Myself, Usha, Atharva, and Santosh, and one of our team member is right now writing his test, so he's not able to make it. So today we will take you guys through 5 key sections of our analysis. First is understanding AI challenges, explaining our unique methodology, sharing our data analysis and key findings, presenting our strategic recommendation, and highlighting RIT's competitive advantage with our approach. So, RIT stands at a critical AI crossroad. The central question driving our analysis: how can we empower every student, staff, faculties with best AI without breaking the bank, risking our data, and slow in our work? So this isn't just adopting the technology, it's about making strategic choice that aligns with RIT's value and constraints. So what RIT needs? Affordability, a powerful AI capability with sustainable cost, security, protection of the data for sure, and efficiency, which should enhance the workflow, and stakeholder fit, which must work for everyone on the campus. So our approach is triple focus compass, which is enterprise grade security workflow optimization, and cost effectiveness, which will be taken through you guys with Santosh.
So exploring the AI landscape. So to identify the best fit AI using benchmarks, the key metrics we used were price, performance, security, and speed and latency basically. So price is done by dollar per million tokens. Performance is done by on the benchmark of MMLU scores. Can you go to the next slide? So the performance was this cost analysis which we did, and for all these trade-offs exist. The high performance isn't always affordable. Low cost isn't always sufficient. So security becomes a key differentiator. And as you can see, the good for performance threshold is the R3 enterprise which comes. Although DeepSeek is the best, you can see the y-axis says MMLU score benchmarks, and the x-axis has cost per million tokens. And coming to, since security is very imperative, data privacy is not negotiable. Here we have compared why, when we compare a proprietary API versus an open source, when we deploy open source on premise hosting, RIT controls data, and we get to write the compliant, and it's more secure compared to a proprietary API where the vendor has data, and there's a lot of risks, and we don't get to write the compliant. We also did the TCO, total cost of ownership, and what we realized was when we do it on-premise open source, it's one-time investment, but when we do commercial API, it's going to be a recurring cost. And what we identified is we save around 2.3 million when we deploy it, and the commercial API is going to be a recurring cost. So this number is a huge number when we save every year. So the benefits of on-premise deployment is, again, we have major cost savings, zero egress fees. There is enhanced security. Then there is optimized energy. Again, it has to align with RIT sustainability goals. We're going to customize it. So we're going to tailor to RIT's specific needs. Even if there are going to be futuristic models, better models, we'll be able to customize it. So coming to stakeholders' needs. What does RIT want from AI, or what does RIT get from AI? So I work as a JSW, so I realized that I could automate my grading tasks. A lot of MCQs is already being done. The long answer questions, which most of the accounting faculties, it's done manually by the graders. So that I thought could be automated because it gets highlighted from my courses. This all can be done by AI. And coming to research, we have RIT libraries, which we can connect the database and get papers for us. Basically, I used to search manually for Dr. Kian Song. I work under her. And I used to manually search it. It used to take a lot of time. Now, using AI, if you connect it to RIT libraries, we can get these papers quickly, whatever the relevant papers, and we can start doing research faster. So I will be working in the research I feel instead of wasting time working for grading and papers. And coming to tutoring, we don't want to reduce the hours of tutoring. We don't want faculties. It's going to, both of them are going to work together. Like, it's going to be a system where it's going to enhance, AI is going to enhance tutoring. So that is what we wanted to try to show. Next slide. So the real campus impact, faculty, automated grading for complex long answer based tests, assisted research, where the models aren't written that great to do a new research from scratch. So existing research can be automated through trial and iteration, identifying patterns and trends, hypothesis generation. All this could be useful. For students, we can get a 24/7 AI tutoring and targeted support via precise explanation available around the clock. So leading contenders for RIT, according to our research, was DeepSeek, which had overall balance. All these were open source, and also MMLU score for DeepSeek was 82.4, and cost was around 0.5 per million token. It was self-hosted. Coming to Mistral 7 AI, it came the best in efficiency champion. It had a modular contextual, great for custom workflows. On the other hand, Facebook, Meta's Llama 3.1 was very research friendly, and it had zero data export. So our primary recommendation for RIT would be DeepSeek, since it does well in everything. It has the versatility, strong foundation for broad RIT needs. So the journey for implementation of roadmap, which we proposed for RIT is the phase one, where we foundation infrastructure setup policy development for high impact pilots. And then phase two is where we expanded campus-wide integration training programs, department customization. For various departments, we can customize tailored these AI models. Then optimization for advanced capabilities and institutional analytics and center of excellence. That comes in phase three. So the bottom line is measurable benefits. So we save around 2.3 million annually, and when you compare it with the commercial APIs, if we deploy it on campus. So, and we can save around 11 hours per week per faculty. Like students doesn't, a lot of students wouldn't be coming for doubts. Their doubts can be cleared through these AI models. And there's a lot of innovations that can be done. There are a lot of use cases which we can work on with RIT. Again, 30% reduction in faculty management costs, and 35% faster student support in response times, zero data exposure to third parties. Data has been a big concern right now. OpenAI has been facing a lot of lawsuits. They have been stealing data. A lot of things are going around in the news. So this system where we are going to deploy privately is going to be very beneficial for RIT. So strategic advantage, why RIT wins? RIT wins because it's going to save millions, it's going to protect privacy, it's going to empower campus by adopting AI, and it's going to lead in ethical AI, and the ranking would go up, the QS ranking, whatever, would go up, and it can collaborate with different colleges too. We have a lot of partners who are ready to fund us, and we can, it's good. The scenario is really good. I think we RIT should concentrate on this. Coming next. So this slide took us around a month, but we have been working on a prototype for a very long time, for a month, and we would love to show it to you. Atharva would explain the prototype, and he would like to demonstrate the prototype.
I just have a short demo where we've created, I would just like to give a brief understanding of not a lot of code to be shown. So these are SRD files which are generated after a Zoom recording of any lecturer that is being put on which is being recorded in RIT. So it has a transcription, which is essentially a minute by minute of whatever the speaker is saying at that instance. So if you take that summary and you start extracting information, and you can basically get a whole generated summary of all the relevant topics that were discussed during that whole lecture, which would probably not just help the student to understand what had taken past the lecture, but also help him come back and revisit the lecture in case of a doubt, if need be. So just for example, these are the summaries that we have generated. These are all text-based summaries, but the actual part where we have implemented is we have made a demo where we have hosted this, and we have implemented a RAG, which is essentially taking all these inputs of whatever the summaries has been generated till now, and streamlining it into a pipeline which can be retrieved for faster access, where we wouldn't have to, where we basically are, so since DeepSeek has its limitations of latency, we are overpowering that by implementing a RAG retrieval, where it is more streamlined. The pipeline is streamlined, so it just can retrieve it faster, and it's more efficient. So this is currently self-hosted, and it is very slow because it is just using the current hardware of whatever we have available. So this is one of the lecture questions where I'm just asking, where the lecturer did mention about using on. So I'm just going to keep a spelling mistake over here for or. Just let's see if it is going to capture that. So as you can see, it has also retrieved the context over here from the snippet it is captured as to what exactly reference it is pulled out from, and here's the answer which it has referenced. So this is just a demo where we have implemented for 20 lectures or so. This could be done at scale, but we need a lot more data and funding for this. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
So we want to build RIT's AI future together. So we want to endorse recommendation. We want to invest in on-premise infrastructure, launch pilot programs, foster AI literacy and governance. So a lot of colleges are going to be deploying privately now. So if we lead it, we could help other colleges and also make profits. There are a lot of agents which we could come up with, rating agents, research agents. We could optimize shuttle to. There are a lot of use cases in the future which will be coming up. AI tutoring. So even healthcare, in RIT's healthcare, we could summarize texts, and for the appointments scheduling can be done faster. If it takes 45 minutes for a patient, if we do it, if the doctor could see the report and make it faster, we can, for a patient, it might take only 10 or 15 minutes to check them, and it's going to speed up things faster. So, and that is why we feel it's high time that we adopt on-premise deployment of AI. Yeah. Thank you, and would like to. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I can go. So I love the presentation. It is amazing. And I loved your recommendation. You're taking a long-term approach to it, but that has one downside, which I want to ask about. Have you thought about it? So typically the implementation timeline for this and the product that your users will use will not be perfect right out of the gate. A lot of the organizations that are seeing at AI right now are saying, I wanted this yesterday, so I want it now. So how do you tackle that challenge to say to your constituents that we are keeping data security and privacy and the ability to tailor this product to you, but you'll have to wait for it, so that we acquire the foundational structure, the skill set that we need for people to build those workflows in place?
I'd like to take the question. So the thing, the problem that we would currently face is not about accuracy of how the model would fetch the information and give it to the user. It's because currently the tech that it is at its mature stage for enough retrieval of summaries and gaining a good insight of to a fair amount of accuracy. The problem that we would face is not just accuracy, sorry, we would face at scalability, where we would have to serve this for probably the whole of campus. So for that, we would have to wait. But that again, the timeline would be based on the funding that we would have. It is not on, it would not be the limitation of software or the tech. It would be only based off of the funding that we would probably have.
So because you'll have to have the whole compute on your
Exactly.
organization, right? And so just a follow-up to that, did you explore models in between? There are some business models now where, okay, we will provide you the code, put it on your servers, put it on your compute.
So what we could do is, the thing is with that kind of model is you expose your data to the APIs and the vendors that you would be probably accessing, where you would be risking your sensitive data. That is where the downside of that would come. So that is where we have tried to also try to iterate with the approach of having a hybrid model. But again, that has a risk of leaking data.
I can ask a question. Very interesting, and I also like the demo that you made. So one of the question is, so I have two questions. One is you, in the end, you say, okay, DeepSeek is one of the ways. I might miss some of the information from the presentation, but which models you are compare with and when you look at? So that's my first question.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. So would you be able to have a like quick summary, like, you know, 2 or 3 sentences why DeepSeek ways based on what you described there? So that's my first following question for that. So my second question is go to the stakeholder needs 09, that slide. Yes, very interesting slides. So I would like to see if you can provide more information about the number, you know, the number what is that number and what does this mean? You mean like, you know, where did you get the number? Where this come from? In terms of before and after.
So I'd like to take the first question, where you asked us about the models that we've used and how did we arrive at DeepSeek. We have primarily used and worked with open source models only, and stayed away from OpenAI and Claude, the closed vendors, because we had the focus of primarily having the data on premise and not having the risk of leaking the data, because that is what we had the topmost priority, because since the stakeholders would probably have that worry too. So all these models are open source models, and out of the handful open source models, DeepSeek was one of the leading contenders, is because of the way that it actually does, it employs a very unique way of handling the pipeline, which is having a mixture of experts, which essentially has a pipeline. Imagine if there were an AI which had a knowledge about 5 different categories: science and health, technology, computers, and literature or science. So it generally tries to, some open AI generally before DeepSeek was came into limelight, was primarily doing all of these pipelines we're running. So imagine if a user had a prompt, it would run through all the pipelines and it would try to understand what is the exact question, and then it would go forward and advance the query. But what this does, DeepSeek does, is it initially identifies what the relevant part it should be focusing on, and it shuts off the rest of the compute. So it is faster at solving, plus it is more accurate because of the way that it shuts off the other things. So that's the primary focus that we had. And that's why DeepSeek was the initial contender. And okay.
And by the way, as an instructor, I'm very excited to see that the time of the grading decreased a lot significantly.
And you don't have to pay for like a lot of you guys. I think the Saunders College is paying for a lot of GSW workers. I think $15 per hour or $16 per hour. That could be cut short, or they could be doing better work. They could be helping in research and
Not all of us get workers the grade.
And regarding research, so I myself am a research assistant in marketing. So just to write a code to analyze like on what in the papers, what they have produced, just to see how many AI words they have written down in one paper. The writing the code is very time consuming. So if I just go to an open AI source and ask them to help me with the tokenizer code to find out AI related words, the code will just comes up within seconds or within a minute. And I just need to copy and paste it and just transfer my file in the code. So that's how we got the timing and this chart.
So just to follow up to that, the tutoring is, we have it as the same time, is just because I think he did answer that, but just to make it clear, is that we don't want to replace the number of hours that we are currently investing in educating, or that we are currently focusing on what is needed to be required to finish a course. We want to help this as a tool to advance and make it more in-depth, and to make the learnings more resourceful or a more all around, I would like to say, where a person would not just understand it based off of what the teacher and lecturer is providing, but also revisit the lecture and can have a whole 360 view of basically what the lecturer is demanding of the student.
That's why we haven't changed the tutoring.
Thank you.
So let's give some hands, everyone. So next we have smart analytics. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are Team Smart Analytics, and we are excited to present our recommendations for the ideal AI platform which IIT can adopt campus-wide. I'm Saili Kyle, and I'm here with my project partner Anju, and we are both master students pursuing data science at IIT. As you can see, RIT is exploring an AI assistant for using across all the students, faculties, and staff. So we evaluated three well-renowned large language models, Claude 3, ChatGPT 4, and Mistral. So our evaluation was based on performance, cost, privacy, fairness, usability, strategic fit, as in how will RIT adopt to the model, and the adoption potential. So our top recommendation was Claude 3, which offers the best balance across all benchmarks, particularly excelling in privacy, usability, and very strategic alignment with RIT's goals. So to ensure a very holistic evaluation, we developed a benchmark framework, which specifically it is tailored to RIT's needs. It included technical metrics like accuracy and cost, but also extended to values like data privacy, ethical AI use, and stakeholder adoption. Each benchmark was later weighed based on importance, and the models were given scores accordingly. So this is what we got for scoring metrics and ranking. So Claude 3 achieved the highest weighted score due to its strong performance in usability, privacy, and alignment. ChatGPT 4 is technically very powerful, but it is more expensive and complex to manage. Mistral is very cost efficient, but it lacks privacy. And there can also be bias errors which can be occurred using it. So yeah, these are our results. One of the important factors was the performance benchmarks that we considered. We evaluated model performance using standard leaderboards like MMLU, which is Massive Multitask Language Understanding. It indicates how strong the LLM is answering academic and reasoning skills. Second is ARC, AI Reasoning Challenge, which reflects advanced problem-solving capability. And third is Truthful QA, which is more likely to generate truthful and accurate answers. So as we can see, GPT-4 leads in all matrices, reflecting its very powerful reasoning and academic abilities. Claude 3 also had a relatively better score. It was consistently working well. And there was a good balance between quality and cost as well. Mistral lags behind in truthfulness and reasoning, which limits our use when we are dealing with sensitive data. Second was cost analysis. Cost is again a very critical factor for university-wide deployment. So ChatGPT 4, though it is very high performing and it is very technically powerful, it comes up a very steep cost, around $20 per million tokens. Claude 3 offers a much more affordable rate, I would say, $3 per million tokens, making it scalable for RIT. And Mistral, which is cheapest, 0.5 per million, but the trade-off is we are compromising on privacy and security. So for privacy and security policies, it is, I think, a number one priority for RIT since we are dealing with a lot of sensitive data. Not only students, but data faculties, staffs, they are dealing with confidential research. So having compliance with FERPA, GDPR, and other internal data governance is a non-negotiable. Cloud-based AI tools may store data externally, so it might raise legal and ethical concerns.
Yeah, so Claude 3 stands out with a clear. So Claude 3 stands out with a clear no data training policy and compliance with major regulations like FERPA and GDPR. GPT-4 requires custom enterprise agreements and to ensure data control. Mistral is open source and self-hosted, places the entire responsibility of the data on RIT, so it becomes a bit of a challenge. So we mapped our practical use case across all stakeholders, groups at RIT. Faculty could use AI for grading assessment and research synthesis. Students might benefit from tutoring and career advice. I mean, all of us are here to find a job. So career advice is something that all students are looking for, and based on current market scenarios and application procedures, student can use it to tailor their resume, any career advices and whatnot. Staff could automate workflows like ticketing and summarization. I personally work at GCCS, so I know how important ticketing system is, and there are students like us who handle the ticketing system. We assign the tickets. So using AI-based, LLM-based model will be a lot helpful in automatically assigning GCCS. So adoption success depends on trust and clarity. For Claude 3, we recommend tailored rollout plan with messaging that emphasizes AI as a support tool, not as a replacement. Faculty would use it as teaching assistants, students, private courses, and admins as efficiency boosters. We also propose hosting onboarding sessions and ethic workshops to encourage safe and responsible use of the AI. We matched Claude 3's capabilities against RIT's core goals: innovation, inclusivity, responsible tech, and adoption. So Claude 3 supports accessible learning, includes robust content builders and aligns with the ethical principles of RIT's AI task force. Its ease of integration also makes it a strong fit for long-term digital transformation. To summarize, Cloud is the model that best balances performance, cost, and institutional fit. We propose a pilot rollout across 3 academic departments with defined success metrics like usage rate, satisfaction, and policy compliance. This approach ensures controlled deployment, while gathering data, and to inform campus-wide expansion. Our analysis was grounded in reliable sources, including Hugging Face leaderboards, LLM stats, and tools like Google's LLM comparator, and these are the .ai for fairness testing. We also included some Python scripts in our submissions, which gave us the stats that we just showed in presentation. And based on these, we recommend Claude 3 to be the best model for now. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I like that your presentation was simple to the point, got the point across in terms of how you got to final recommendation. How did you, I guess I have two questions. First, is how did you decide those three to start with and kind of eliminated the others from the top? And then the next question, when you looked at your benchmarks you use or the KPIs you use to score, how did you come up with those specific scores? It sounds like you use a bunch of data sets. If you could give a little bit more explanation to say, hey, we scored, cloud, this in security and this, like, how did you end up with those metrics?
So to answer the first question, we have used all the three models, and then we've also asked a bunch of our classmates that which one would you prefer, which one are you using constantly for your research or just for of course. So these three were we observed that the students are using these, so it is easy to adapt for RIT campus-wide as well. So that's why we went with these three models.
Coming to a second question, so we have not really gathered data ourselves. We wanted to address this to stakeholders, so we have used whatever data is available in their website, all the company website, and we have used that data set. So they themselves are claiming that we didn't want to differ from that. So we have used those data sets itself, and we have written simple Python to compare and to plot those data sets. And that's how we have come to this.
Any other questions? Any questions? Good then. Thank you so much. This is unknown.
Right in the end, I got. And good luck. Thank you.
Yeah.
Testing, testing.
everyone. Our name is Team Name Unknown, and today we're going to be analyzing the different mainstream artificial intelligence models to see which one will be the best one to implement into the ART. Okay, so this is just a brief overview of everything that we are going to be talking about today. So let's just get straight into the project definition. So the Rochester Institute of Technology is looking to implement a campus-wide artificial intelligence service for students, faculty, and the staff. So we as a group were asked to analyze and rank top 3 AI models according to criteria based on consumers' need and brand reputation. This is just us introduction. Hello, my name is Nika, and this is my teammate Hunter. And unfortunately, Kaden and Chase couldn't be with us today.
As Nika mentioned just ago, we had to rank our top 3 AI based on a set of criteria, and what better way to do that, to figure out the criteria than jump over the RT community. So we did that by starting with the mission statement. Now, I won't read this all to you, but I wanted to point out some key things. RT is an intellectually curious and socially conscious community that leverages the power of technology, art, and design. Going deeper into RIT, we found that RIT was on the path to become an R1 research university and is a nationally recognized research university with over $103 million in research funding in 2024 alone. Therefore, we know that RIT privacy and accuracy are major concerns for RIT when deciding on an AI model. With that being said, our benchmark criteria are accuracy, performance, privacy, and sustainability.
So let's get into the data processing. So we get our data from the sets that were already given to us, like artificial analysis, LLM, leaderboard, Hugging Face, and Vulcan Green Energy use. But we also found some data for the external sources like Credo AI and the company website. We cleaned the data by converting and ranking certain data points using Excel's pivot table feature to create analysis and visualization. For accuracy and performance, we have percentages and metrics like context, speed, and efficiency. And for privacy, we looked at each company's website and ranked them on the scale from 1 to 10. And so this was a subjective analysis. And for the sustainability, unfortunately, we couldn't fight the current CO2 emission. So for each of the AI models, but we found the energy consumption during the training phase, and we based our sustainability criteria off of that one. And these are the AI models that we analyzed based on the performance and the popularity at the time.
So jumping into the data visuals, we first started with the sustainability criteria. As Nika mentioned, we couldn't find current CO2 and water consumption statistics, so we used energy used during the training phase. And as you can see, GPT-4 had an immensely larger amount of energy consumed during its training phase, while DeepSeek and Copilot had the least. Although, because Copilot is powered by GPT-4 and only used a small data set for additional training, that could be why its total energy consumed is smaller. Unfortunately, we couldn't find any data for Mistral, so that was unfortunate. For our average accuracy, Claude had the highest accuracy rating at 86.8%, followed by GPT-4 and Gemini, with Llama and DeepSeek being the lowest accurate. We couldn't find any data on Copilot, but because it's powered by GPT-4, it could be similar, although that extra training that it did could have an impact on its accuracy, so we can't say for certain. Lastly, some performance metrics we looked at: price per 1,000 tokens, context window, performance rank. Again, because Copilot is powered by GPT, we could estimate that their context window is similar to that 128,000. However, we can't say for certain because it is not publicly announced. We also looked at privacy rating, latency, and overall efficiency. So for our predictive model, we wanted to do a quantitative analysis. So we did a simple equation with 9 different variables, ranking them from accuracy as being the most important, down to latency as being the least, with its respective weight. I wanted to point out that energy usage is negative because more energy use in that training phase should be disincentivized. given the branding of RIT wanting to be sustainable, we wanted to make sure that that was in our equation as well. And then you can see our equation at the bottom here. So we'll jump right into our suggestion.
So these are just some of the suggestions for RITXI. Yeah, I'm sorry. So we're gonna talk about what didn't make it to the top 3. So the first one is Microsoft Copilot, because it had data we couldn't put it really into our equation, so that made it like lower on our rankings. And since it is integrated with ChatGPT, it has a really similar output to it, so that's also why it like lowered our standard. However, this may be a good option given the subscription that RIT students and faculty already have for their academic needs. Next on the list is Mistral, which is really similar to Microsoft Copilot. It also lacks data, and even though it has a lower price and greater overall efficiency, it has the limited context window, which make it not ideal for the students and the faculty of the RIT. Next, we have DeepSeek. Because of its smaller context window, lower accuracy rating, and low privacy rating, all those things played a large part in making it the second lowest on the ranked AI model. And with RIT research being a large part in our academic life on campus, the low privacy rating would make it a large concern for our faculty and students. And the lowest ranked, we have Meta Llama. Because of its lowest accuracy rating and performance rank, make it unfit for the RIT population use of cases. So our top 3 rankings, on the 3rd place came ChatGPT 4 Turbo, which was second in accuracy, 3rd largest context window, and it tied second in performance rank and management area. On the second one, we have Claude, which came in 1st in performance rank, 2nd largest context window, 1st in accuracy, and it came 2nd in privacy. And on the 1st place, we have Gemini 1.5 Pro, which came like 1st in privacy, 3rd in accuracy, and 1st in latency.
However, that didn't really sit well with us. Seeing that Gemini was 3rd in accuracy and its 1 million token context window overly inflated its overall performance score, we wanted to take a look at the data again to see a better fit for RIT because we didn't feel that Gemini was sufficient. So this was more of a subjective analysis, but you can see Claude is a bit more expensive, but it still has the 2nd largest context window. It's highest in its performance rank, good in its privacy, it's faster than Gemini, and its accuracy was number 1, like on the graph before. So with that, Claude is our suggestion for RIT because of its highest accuracy, highest performance ranking, 2nd largest context window, and it's 2nd in privacy. So this is our adjusted ranking with Claude in number 1, Gemini in 2nd, and ChatGPT still in 4th.
So look at the operational impacts. Claude is going to help with automating routine tasks, email drafts, meeting summaries, and it will provide more time for the staff so they can deliver the best performance and more personalized support and more efficient academic planning. For the research capabilities, Claude Advanced Accuracy can help create summaries for hard-to-read academics literature and identify key trends across disciplines, as well as a large context window. We can help with streamline and create efficient data cleaning and analysis. And for our predictive analysis, by using historical poll and real-time data, Claude can help optimizing resource planning for classrooms, labs, and spotting anyone inside. Claude enables proactive intervention to support our students and improve the overall outcome. For our marketing strategy, we targeted students, faculty, and staff. Messaging is tailored to each group, emphasizing the Claude's benefits. And for our media channels, our main communication channels, we have RIT, My Courses, emails and newsletters, Reporter Magazine, promoting workshop, and in the end, clubs and organizations.
In addition to simple tailored messaging, like on the screen, we can also use testimonials and use case scenarios to have people be more understanding of how to use Claude and in a more effective and efficient manner. So for faculty research, because Claude's high context window and high accuracy is perfect for accelerating the data coding, cleaning, analysis, and visualization process so that they can focus their time and energy on more important overall analytics and writing the reports to do more. It can also be a homework assessment, so gone are the days of Tag and Brainly, where students are simply plugging in an answer and submitting the homework assignment without understanding the overall context of the solution. With Claude, they can ask specific questions and get tailored responses to meet them at their learning level. By doing these use case scenarios and using marketing messaging focused on prompt engineering and overall efficiency of AI usage, we can reduce unnecessary token usage, which comes into play here. So Claude charges 5 cents per 1,000 tokens or $30 per 1 million tokens. And estimating a moderate usage of 21,300 users for 12 months, it'd be roughly $640,000 per year. We understand that this is a steep price tag for an AI model. However, given the benefit of Claude with that context window and all of its use cases in terms of academic success and research, we believe that Claude's return on investment will be immense in terms of productivity, performance, and time, so that students and faculty can be more involved in programs and extracurricular activities to further push RIT to the top universities in the nation. So with the conclusion, again, our top rated AI model was Claude from Anthropic. Though the pretty steep price tag may deter you a little bit, the overall benefits seem to outweigh the costs in terms of performance, time, and energy that professors, faculty, staff, students will be getting back with Claude. And with that, we thank you for your time.
I like your presentation. I think very clear structure, and also I like the way that you mentioned the IT mission in the beginning and kind of in the end also tie back to the IT mission. So I have a specific question is in the slide you have the comparison formula. Would you be able to go back to that slide?
Yeah.
Yeah. So could you tell us a little bit more how you get this weight number here?
Yeah, so that was just kind of looking back at our benchmark criteria and seeing what was most important in terms of those 4 benchmark criteria and then what all went into performance. We kind of did subjective weighting for that. Obviously, accuracy is going to be the highest weight because we felt that accuracy in terms of research and academic usage would be the most important for our AI model, while speed may not be the most important. So it was kind of based on the importance in the RT community and what we felt was more important for performance.
Yeah, I was gonna mention the same thing about starting with RT's mission was a good idea, I think, and you guys have done a good job explaining, connecting the benchmarks you use in relation to that. As you were looking at the RIT environment, have you done a kind of research of what's already being used at RIT? Is your, you went through the Gemini, Cloud, and the ChatGPT were the top ones, like knowing RIT is a Microsoft shop, and we already use Google products, and Gemini is in some capacities already available. Did that account into your kind of decision, or did you kind of do some of that exploration on what's already available, like Copilot? You guys are the only ones that I've seen mention Copilot in your analysis, which I agree, it's hard to find those numbers, but the fact that Copilot is already available at RIT, how did you kind of think about that?
Yeah, so with AI being so new, kind of in the academic field, at least for most students, we didn't really have their program loyalty and what students and faculty are already using, because we figured if RIT implements a free version that's better than free ChatGPT or free Copilot or free Gemini, they would probably switch to gain those benefits of that premium version of Claude would give them. Did that answer your question?
I don't have a question, but just want to give kudos for including the energy usage and the sustainability component. No, none of the other teams did. And I frankly feel that it's a very underappreciated portion of this whole equation.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to find data on it just because that's kind of a gate kept kind of secret with these companies. So I was glad to be able to find at least something because sustainability is huge, not only in my life, but the RIT community. And definitely wanted to.
All right, thank you, guys. So, last but not least, Paul. The update?
There was an update since last night.
You sent it to me? So you want to block the email? Okay, try to block the and then email to me because I have to because of the Zoom thing, so I
You see that like you're happy with that.
This is where we're focusing on what AI model our team should implement.
So my name is Jake. I'm a fourth-year finance major.
I'm Kira. I'm a third-year marketing major.
I'm Petros, I'm a first-year finance major.
And I'm Gavin, I'm a fourth-year computer engineering technology major. So we've been tasked to perform a full scope analysis to determine which AI model best suits our IT needs.
And this is just a quote from President Munson, which exemplifies RIT's dedication towards procuring an AI solution for the entire university as a whole.
So before we dive into our analysis on which AI RIT should implement, we wanted to explain some use cases of AI at RIT. So we conducted a survey and 48 students from a variety of colleges responded. And 70.8% of those respondents said that they did use our AI app in their everyday lives. So some of the answers that we got based on how students use AI is for idea generation, guidance on projects and papers, assistance in math problems and coding, specifically debugging, as well as summarizing readings and articles. Some people use it as a tool for research, and some people use AI just simply for fun to see what it can come up with. Now, there were a portion of students who said that they do not use AI in their everyday lives, and based on the short answer responses, some students had moral and ethical oppositions to using AI. We also wanted to look at how RIT could use AI as a whole, based on staff, faculty, and other initiatives on campus.
So AI can be used to advance research efforts, both conducting research on the AI industry, as well as being used as a tool in research efforts. The RIT Task Force report has recommendations for AI. This includes AI-powered chatbots, as well as virtual RIT kiosks and robots. We asked our professors how they use AI in their lives, and they said that they use AI as a support for teaching, as well as to streamline lectures, and teaching students how to use AI as a tool. AI can also be implemented in other initiatives on campus, such as streamlining FMS and dining services with waste management.
Through our research, we determined that these were the four main AIs that, through popularity and user usage. And for those AIs, we're going to be judging them based off of accuracy, data processing speeds, security and privacy, their price, how sustainable they are, and then the ease of integration for each AI.
To rate these AI models, we compared them based on a competitive matrix. We weighted the 6 benchmark criteria, and we will discuss those weightings and why we weighted them that way later in the presentation. We then rated each of the AI models using a combination of quantitative data and formulas, as well as coding of categorical variables. And the final scores were then calculated. However, they are covered right now, as they will be revealed at the end. So starting with our most important criteria, that is accuracy. This is defined by how correct AI is, as well as different ratings such as Artificial Intelligence Index and the MMLU rating. So accuracy is by far the most important, as it contributes to reduced bias as a measure of effectiveness and reliability. This aligns well with the RIT Task Force goal of emphasizing ethics and critical thinking across RIT's curriculum. RIT also prides itself as being an institution based on integrity and is expanding its role as a research institution. So in order to meet these high educational standards, it's important that the information being provided by AI is in fact factually correct, as this also contributes to student learning, as you want AI to be able to be used as a tool to help students rather than a hindrance. So going on, looking at some research from the Artificial Analysis database, this is the Artificial Analysis Index, which is a combination of metrics to compare how smart AI models are with one another. And we tried to use the more current version of these AI models, and DeepSeek did rank the highest in terms of this particular rating. However, we also wanted to compare some other ratings. So this is Frontier Math Accuracy Database, showing how AI performed on a set of expert level math problems. We calculated the average accuracy based on a variety of versions based on the AI, so ChatGPT ranked the highest on this front. And then lastly, the massive multitask language and understanding was a factor into our rating. So this shows the individual ratings based on the MMLU Pro on those specific AI versions, in which DeepSeek was slightly higher. In terms of average MMLU Pro rating across all available models, ChatGPT and Gemini did rank higher. So for this reason, in the matrix, ChatGPT did receive the highest accuracy score, closely followed by Gemini.
Our next highest weighted metric was the data processing speed for each AI. And this involves collecting, organizing, and transforming raw data into something that the user can actually understand and use in their everyday life. The importance of data processing speeds involves high accuracy, the speeds of performance, and helping AI make better decisions overall. The AIs that have slower speeds tend to be unreliable, slow, and even become more biased as their research is less extent and their speeds are less or slower. Just to clear up, an AI token is a single unit in a line of text. For example, every word, every punctuation mark, and every number in a sentence would be read by the AI as a token. So given that, this is a matrix that measures the speed of each AI given each input. So for 100, on the blue is 100 inputs, 1,000, 10,000, then 100,000. DeepSeek performed by far the worst given their input speed. And then as you see, ChatGPT and Gemini performed relatively close. And for that reason, ChatGPT and Gemini were both given the highest scores, with DeepSeek falling far behind.
Next, we took a look at privacy and security.
Privacy and security is important to RIT, so it's weighted higher than the others. It's important for our AI to be able to properly manage data so that no personal or sensitive information about students, faculty, or research projects are released outside of where they're meant to be used. To do this, we took a look at company compliance reports. These reports are globally used standards that demonstrate a company's ability to meet and to meet global standards. Specifically, we took a look at compliance reports that related to data security, financial reporting, and AI use. As you can see, Google met many of these compliance reports as they are a company widely trusted by a multitude of companies to properly manage and report data. DeepSeek didn't have any public compliance reports available, so we weren't able to look at any of their reports. They did, however, have a privacy policy, so they were not given a 0. Here's how they all ranked for privacy and security.
Now, price is going to be obviously at an institution like RIT, a university, a very sensitive topic as well, although not as high as, say, accuracy and data processing speed. Cost is going to be extremely important, especially with a faculty, staff, and student body of over 22,000 people. A difference of a few dollars or even a few cents per person who uses the AI is going to have a magnitude of effect on the cost to the university as a whole. So this price is measured in the per million tokens, the cost in the input and output price. We can see that DeepSeek is extremely cheap, and it's not cheap, it's more of an affordable option as it handles pretty well compared to the rest, although Claude and Chat are by far the most expensive options. And that shows up on our matrix as DeepSeek getting the highest score with Claude and ChatGPT lagging behind.
So now looking at the sustainability, this is defined as the overall environmental impact as well as efforts that the company takes to combat this environmental impact. So sustainability is extremely important as AI in general is not very good for the environment due to growing energy consumption and resource demands to train and operate the AI. But RIT, it does pride itself in being a sustainability institution with research technologies and practices. So if RIT wants to maintain this reputation as being a sustainable institution and keep these efforts going, it is really important to consider sustainability efforts when choosing an AI model to support. So just giving a more sustainability overview based on more qualitative data, ChatGPT has a commitment to reducing the carbon footprint. However, there was a lack of transparency based on how their environmental and social impact will be improved. DeepSeek by far comes off as the most sustainable due to its efficient training process and streamlined training and just overall more efficient processing makes it use much less energy and just overall less resources than the other models. Claude is setting standard by incorporating sustainability into many parts of their operations, such as data centers and hardware optimization to reduce their impact. And Gemini is trying to make AI models more efficient with an aim to reach net zero emissions by 2030. All companies have high water usage for training and operating, and all have committed to utilizing AI to developing sustainable solutions in the world. And this graph just visualizes the energy usage among the AI companies with ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini by far using much more energy to train, whereas DeepSeek has that efficient processing, so they are much lower in resources. And for this reason, AI is bad for the environment in general, so none of them received a super high rating. However, due to that more efficient processing, DeepSeek did receive the highest rating.
All right, so the next metric we're going to be looking at is ease of integration. We decided to give it a 10% weighting just because it's more of a feature. It's not quite as important as, let's say, accuracy. Ease of integration can be defined as how easily an AI model can be merged with pre-existing software. And that's important for a few different reasons. First is that it reduces development time and associated costs with doing so. Secondly, it increases scalability across different departments and user groups. And it enhances a degree of customization that allows different departments and user groups to benefit from the same platform. So the formula we use to calculate the rating is based on 4 different variables.
First being API documentation, second, ecosystem integration, third, developer support, and finally, flexibility and customization. So after calculating, we can see that ChatGPT was the winner, but with a very close second of Gemini. So for this reason, ChatGPT and Gemini were the two highest rated in this category. So in third place, we have Claude with a score of 5.655 in the overall rating. Second is ChatGPT with a score of 6.78. And finally, we have Gemini ranking first with a score of 7.3. And you can see here, with all the scores filled in for each benchmark criteria, that Gemini is the clear winner in a majority of these categories.
So why Gemini? Gemini ranks highly across the board, as you just said. It's also one of the most popular AI used by faculty and students, not just in RIT. And RIT already has a partnership with Google for the educational workspace. We get access to Drive, Google services, a lot. So it's not a far stretch to add AI to the bundle.
So we wanted to give some recommendations on how to implement Gemini across the RIT community. One of our recommendations is to run hands-on transparent workshops, train faculty members on how to properly use AI as a part of their curriculum, teaching them how to teach it to students, as well as teaching students how they can use AI in the classroom as a tool. This can also be transferred to specialized workshops, such as how to use AI in research or how to use AI in a specific college or a specific major, so that people feel more comfortable with using AI in their everyday lives. This also once again ties in with the task force recommendation of emphasizing the ethics and critical thinking across RIT's AI curriculum. The second recommendation is to emphasize cost savings. AI is expensive to implement and it could have impacts on things such as tuition, but to ease students as to where their money is going, it is important to emphasize how AI can be used to mitigate these extra costs, such as the potential to replace textbooks. So if students realize that they don't necessarily have to purchase a textbook for a class, they may be able to use AI instead. It can help lead to the adoption of AI. Lastly, the plan is to develop an effective plan for implementing AI guidelines for use in coursework. So this eases those students who answer the survey saying, oh, I don't use AI, I don't like using it, I have ethical and moral oppositions to AI. This will ease students who are wary of that, as well as updating the RIT AI use policy, as currently it is slightly vague. It pretty much says that RIT professors can determine on their own how they want to deal with students using AI in the classroom. So if that is more generalized and specified, it can really just make AI easier to implement at RIT. Thank you everyone for listening to our presentation.
I can start. I think I really enjoy the presentation. Very clear structure, logic. And also I can see the good team collaboration here. So I have a specific question that you gave the weight for each category, right? So I'm curious, I know this is going to be discussed among the team and make the decision. So what is the process that among the team that you decide which weight you are going to give for each category?
So we collaborated as a team to assign the different weights to each of the benchmark criteria. And we really based it using information such as the RIT mission statement, the RIT task force report, based on what they determined to be the most important in terms of AI, as well as using the survey responses from the students and the professors to determine what the RIT community deems as the most important.
So you actually have kind of related question built in the survey when you reach out to the student, is that correct?
Yes, we've asked students to do, in terms of the student use cases, we had a short answer response on how the students use AI in their lives. So all of those answers were directly given by RIT students.
Thank you.
Not a question, but a comment. I'm glad you guys use that AI task force report because that, there's already collective information that went into, I think, creating that. And then the fact that you considered in your recommendation how Gemini, as your #1 recommended solution, already fits in with RIT's ecosystem of Google tools, which we already have, aligns well, I think, and makes it easier for if a company was gonna make a decision on it to say, hey, this is already integrated, or we're halfway there. It's not another, a few $1 million to integrate something else. So, just a comment. So, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would just say kudos, nice presentation. I think that overall your evaluation criteria was the most comprehensive, I believe. I think you included sustainability as well as, I think one of the unique points that you included was the last one.
Integration, ease of integration.
Ease of integration, yes, thank you so much. And since you did all that, I have an oddball question for you since you are also the last team. Have you thought about considering some of the strategic risk when evaluating these models, like some of the political instability that's going on, and how organizations want to think about, just like what happened with TikTok, right? Suddenly you cannot use it. So how do you incorporate that into your evaluation?
I think that that's something that as a group, we definitely took into consideration. I think that we really tried to show that in the privacy section, although we could have gone more in depth in a longer presentation, especially with a company like DeepSeek that does have a lot of benefits. It is cheap, it is efficient, but unfortunately, the foreign governments do have ties to it, which could pose a security risk to a university like RIT that does many advanced research projects that might be for the US government. And that could pose a security risk, and that could pose a risk in general to everyone's privacy here. So I think that was a reason we were very wary of a company like DeepSeek.
Let's give them a hand. Maybe 20 minutes, right?
All right, it was an amazing presentation from all the teams here today. It's clear that everyone showed a real deep analysis involving AI with RIT. So we're going to break for around 20 minutes while the judges deliberate on the winning teams. So take the time to relax or chat with the teams that are here.
So there's pizza and the bike. So feel free to help yourself, and the judges will come back to announce the winner after 20 minutes.
It's just convene now.
You can take some of the.
Why do you guys actually think? Because you guys said,
Yeah. I made it myself.
why do you guys think? You guys said,
Good job.
You can go back. Yeah.
what do you think of the range of?
Are they going somewhere?
Yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't that be safe? The problem was that it would, and at the same time, then you're limiting yourself and your access to.
I'll go with you and help.
So you can go with Vic.
It's top secret.
And if you can explain a little bit more, there's two categories.
Oh, okay.
We'll go out that way.
What was the question?
Yeah,
Would you rather live in a AI in a world where you can hide in front of all the banks? You would definitely
That's what I saw.
Here, this we already live in.
Yeah.
So they have we have more time, like, I said, and the answer, wow. They are doing something more.
Correct.
All right, everybody, let's get started. We have another class coming in 10 minutes or so, so we need to get going quickly. Thank you everyone for sticking around. So for now, I'm gonna invite Associate Dean Joe to come and give a few remarks before we make announcement on the winners.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, students here at Michigan College. Jackie, our dean, is out of town today. So on behalf of the college and committee, at first I want to congratulate all the winners, to be winners today. You guys really, your smart thinking, your hard work, and your creativity really set your guys apart. And I'm sure the committee picked the very worst winner. And also show that you can really apply what you learned in class to the real problem, and you should be proud of yourself. And also, I want to take up this time to thank our organizing committee, faculty committee, and also all the judges today. They put a lot of work and to make this a success. And this is already, I know, just the fifth year. It has been really making a big impact on students and give you a time to chance to learn. So, and about this competition, really, it's actually part of our college's strategy to improve our students' experiential and learning opportunities in college. So, it gives you a chance to challenge yourself to really work with diverse team members. And I see a lot of different faces, and really, it's a wonderful opportunity for guys to work together. I think it's not just about winning. Winning is great, but it's more about learning, have an experience, and prepare yourself for the real world ahead of you. So whether or not you bring home a trophy today, you should be proud of yourself.
Yes.
So go ahead. Congratulations again.
Okay.
Just because we're showing. We give a few reasons.
So as judges, we would like to congratulate all the teams. You guys did a great job. So we have 2 graduate teams and 4 undergraduate teams. For us, it's really a challenging time to pick a winner. So now I'm going to announce the teams for the undergraduate.
The runner-up for undergraduate and graduate.
Okay, the runner-up for undergraduate is unknown team.
Team coming up, where's unknown team?
And data seeker team. New AI for all MI.
Come up. 113. Wait. Yeah, and the budget.
The runner for graduate team is Odyssey team.
So, where's the top team for the undergraduate? RPS? RPRS? Where's RPRS?
RPRS.
Yeah.
So we will give you guys like a real certification and also a plaque when we order it. That's when we do the nice pictures and everything. This is more like a placeholder for now. Okay? So hold this in the middle so your friends and others can take a picture for you.
One more round of applause.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you guys. So we will contact you in after the competitions to get your name so that we can put your name in a very nice place and then we can pick it up. Okay? And then we have a professional photographer to take pictures you then. Right. And then the next
So the winner for our undergraduate team is AI analysis. Congratulations. So it's a very good job in the provide national analysis
and also connected to our IT. And we also see a strong collaboration among the team members. So the winner for graduate team is Smart Analytics. So this team, they provide very clear structure and also point to the problem in a very simple way. And we also see lots of collaboration among the teams and also see lots of storytelling.
Maybe move it that way so we can take a nice pictures. Matthew, would you like to take a few pictures for them? Yeah. Or John is also doing.
Thank you. Like I said, I will contact you after to get more details and instruction on how to proceed. At this point, I want to give a great thank you for all the judges who has devoted time and energy to help make this successful, and also to all of you who participate and make this successful. Sorry for the rush because we start late because of some technical issues, so we are running out now. Hope you guys have a wonderful week ahead and good luck with finance. Okay? Have a good day, guys.